What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone had a great weekend. So today we are going to continue with part 3 of my EJ25 engine build for my 2004 STI. My goal today is to get as far as we can on this motor. So I think the first thing we're going to do is try and get the front of the motor complete, get those cam seals in there, and start doing the timing and stuff. Before we do that, we have our AVCS oil lines we need to get on there. We got our lines, our fittings and stuff. I bought this little kit right here with a bunch of copper washers so we can replace all of those. So I think I'm going to do those first, get those cleaned up, get those on there. Then we have some water lines that are going to run from some coolant lines that are going to run from these up here to the heater core in the back. We need to get on there. We need to get our dipstick in for our oil pan that's going to come up through here. We need to get all that stuff on there before we can put the back timing covers on. So I'm going to go ahead and get these oil lines on there and some of these coolant lines and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's start with this driver's side oil line. So it's just gonna go on just like this. So get that under there first. Screw this one on, screw the other one on. These are torqued down to, all of these banjo fittings are 21.4. All right, that's on there. Get our torque wrench. There we go. All right, now we can move over here to this one. Make sure these things are clean. So some of you guys might have different oil lines. A lot of them come from the back of the head and run up to this. On this head, the oil port is actually right here. So we'll put this one in there. And then for this one, this is a fitting that came with the turbo. So this is going to go in, and then the oil feed line is going to run off of this back here to the turbo. So that's why it might look a little different than other ones. And then we have a little 10mm bolt that'll go in right down here. All right, and while we're at it, this is for our oil pressure sender. So this is a Pro Sport oil galley plug. It has a different threading on it for aftermarket oil pressure gauges. I'm actually going to use a mechanical gauge when I first start the motor to make sure that our oil pressure is good. So I just like to put some of this tape around the threads before I thread it in here, and I think this is going to be in there the same at 21 pounds. All right, let's try and get these cam seals in here. So I have a 34mm socket that I'm going to use to press that in there with. So we just got to oil this up around the outside. So we'll just oil this guy up inside and outside. And then we're trying just to press it in until it is flush with this lip here. I think I'm gonna go flush with the inside lip. The outside one is a tiny bit further in, so I don't want to get it too far in there. So I got this one in there. I got it flush right here, And then there's just the tiniest little lip out here on the outside. I think that's gonna be good. You don't wanna get it too far in there because this is going to go in and it needs to seal around there, and you don't wanna have it bottomed out because the oil does come all the way up into here. So don't press it in, don't bottom these out. They're just gonna go flush. And also, you want to remember the intake one is the thinner ring and the exhaust is the bigger ring. All right, now we can try to get this dipstick tube in there. I put new O-rings on here and made sure and oiled it up really good so that it'll get in there. You just want to twist it in there. You don't want to shove it straight down. You might tear one of the O-rings. All right, once you get that in there, you just have a 10mm bolt right here holding this dipstick in. All right, that's on there good. Okay, now we can throw this this water line on. Probably should do it before you do this because I kind of have to like wedge it in here. These stupid hose clamps. Jeez, all right. All right, we got that on there. There's a 10mm bolt up here, 10mm down here. Connect both of these hoses right there. Okay, let's get this tensioner bracket on there. Looks like this. Just goes right here, and the bolts are going to be torqued down to 18. All right, guys, here's where we are. We got our cam seals in. We got our timing covers on. We got our tensioner bracket on there. We got our dipstick in. Got our water pipe on here. So the next thing I think I need to do is get these cam gears on there and get them tightened down a little bit. Then get this timing belt and tensioner and everything on there. After that, then I can try and torque these cam gears down. We'll see how that works out. So anyways, I'm going to start with the cam gears and then we'll start getting the tensioners on there and all that stuff. All right, so we want to make sure these surfaces are perfectly clean. Same with inside here. I actually got these cleaned when I got my block machined. So they took these things completely apart and cleaned them up. So yeah, just make sure that there's no dirt, no nothing in there. That way it sits flush on here. And then you have, inside of here, you have 4 little holes and then one's a little bit bigger. And that's what's gonna go right here on this pin. You'll kind of feel it click when you get it on there. Okay, so that was actually the other side. They do have a marking on here. This says right hand side, which is going to be this side. Passenger side. All right, so that's on there. It's gonna sit just like that. These top bolts are going to be the longer ones. So this is for your exhausts, this is for your intake cam. The intake cam has the little hole right here and it's longer. So it says we need to go in here and torque them down to 22. And then I believe it's 45 degrees, which I think comes out to about 72 pounds down here and about 54 on this one. But for right now, we're just gonna get them in there and get them tightened down just a little bit because we can't torque them down until we get the entire timing belt on. That way it can hold these still. Alright guys, so we got our cam gears on there. Nothing's torqued down yet. So now we can go ahead and put on all our tensioner and our pulleys and all that stuff. So we got our brand new tensioner here. Alright, so there's that little guy. We got that one. It's always fun to unwrap stuff. We got both of those. And that one, so we can just move these bolts right over. From these. We don't need any of these anymore. This is kind of my shelf of stuff we don't need. Alright, so we got all of those on there. I'll go ahead and walk you guys through putting on all these pulleys. We will save this one down here is going to be the last one we put on after we get our timing belt and everything on there. Alright, so I'll show you guys. Alright, so we're gonna start with this one over here. And all of these are gonna be torqued down to 29. I think it's like 28.7 something, so we'll go to 29. We'll go down here, get this one on. Same thing here, we'll go 29. All right, then we can go up here to this little one. This one is only gonna go to 17. And then we can get our tensioner up in here. Same thing here, 29. That one, good to go. All right guys, so my GoPro decided to die when I was in the middle of putting it on the timing belt. So here's what I did. I took off this lower guide here, put my wrench on here, got it so that these two marks were straight up, got the belt on there. Same thing over here, I turned it until this lined up. So that one lines up, that one lines up. Come around here, this mark right here is aligned. We got this one over here is lined up, and we got this one over here. Now we just need to put this pulley right here and torque that down, and our timing belt is on there. After that, we have a couple little things. We got this guide up here we need to adjust, this one down here. We'll throw the one over here on, and then there's also one that's gonna go right here. And I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, let's get this one on there. After everything's lined up, it should be pretty simple. Just gotta, there should be enough slack right here just to get this guy up there. And just like the rest of them, we're gonna put it on 29. All right, and once we get all that on there, kind of just make sure our belts. Our belts on there, right in the middle. Good there, good all around here. Then we can pull our little grenade pin here on our timing tensioner. And just like that, she has got tension. I'm going to turn the motor over a couple times, make sure everything still lines up, that I don't hear anything funny. Now, I did pull the spark plugs out to make this a little easier. So we're gonna go around one more time, get this line even there. Right there, all our marks are lined back up. All right, so as you can see, these lines are only going to match up when you go to install it. After that, they are going to be off. You have to rotate it a lot to get it back where it was. But as you can see, this line matches up there. Same thing over there. We got that line. This line here is matched up with that one. These are all lined up. We got that mark lined up there and over here. All right, so I got this little tool here on Amazon for about 40 bucks. I'm hoping I can use this to hold everything still. So I put the crank pulley on there, and then it came with these bolts that go through here, which are just gonna go right in there. So you have some leverage here to hold this on. And then we're gonna come over here, we're gonna get these to 22. All right, so now it says to go to 45 degrees, which I believe on these top ones is going to be about 54 pounds, and then these are going to be 72. So let's see if we can get these torqued down. So I'm going to go to 54. So from right here, we need to get to about right there. And then 72 down here at the bottom. All right, on these little belt guide things here, it says to go to 1 millimeter plus or minus a half a millimeter. So I'm just gonna go to a half a millimeter right here. And you want to just be able to wedge it in here. So I'm just going to get them tight and then back off just a tiny bit. That looks about right. Alright, so it slides right in there. Alright, and same thing over here. This top one, pretty much 45 degrees is going to equal out to about 54. And then down here at the bottom, we'll go to, I'm going to put 74 on here, and we'll see what the angle looks like. Alright guys, this tool I bought here, this made it a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, so it's definitely something I would recommend. It also makes tightening the actual crankshaft bolt in there a lot easier. So Now we just need to throw these little caps on right there. So I'll do that real quick, and then I think we can get the timing covers and all that stuff on there. Alright guys, so we have our timing on there, timing covers. Everything's all torqued down. The crank pulley, it's torqued down. So before we can move on to the intake manifold, we need to get our crossover pipe on there and our little hoses for coolant and the crankcase ventilation. So let's get those on there real quick, and then we can pull out this intake manifold and get that thing all assembled, get the injectors, TGV, all that stuff in there, and then maybe we can get that on there today. All right, so the only thing I'm really gonna do here is get these surfaces right here nice and clean. And then we can move over to the motor. Okay, I'm gonna take my rag and a little bit of my brake clean. And then clean out, I'll try and clean out these little spots here where there's still a little bit of paint, it looks like. Then I like to just take a little bit of sealant and put it around these O-rings. That way we know it's gonna seal good. Because it sucks when this thing leaks, because if it leaks you gotta take your whole intake manifold and all that stuff off. So we got that on there. We can set our crossover pipe on here. Okay, so we can start these two right here first. All right, I just got those ones started. Before we can put these in here, we need to get this one on because it's gonna sit down in there. Just slide right on there. Get this coolant line in. Now we can get this bolt or this clamp tight. This one would normally go to the throttle body. Same with down here. I'm just gonna bypass the throttle body so there's no warm coolant going through there. So I just have this hose going from here just straight down to this little guy right there. Then we can get our other two crossover pipe bolts on there, and then these are going to torque down to 8.7. Careful because these things do like to break and strip out. All right, so let's move on to the intake manifold. First thing I need to do is get this throttle body back on there. It's pretty simple. It's just these 4 bolts, and they get torqued down to about 6 pounds, not very much. All right, next I like to get the TGVs, get those on there. These ones have been sealed up and ported. So we got rid of the butterflies in there. We're just gonna clean these up a little bit before we put the gasket on here. Those cleaned up. Make sure this is all clean as well. I got these gaskets from Grimspeed. Just like that. Right on there. We'll flip this little guy back over. Set these out here where they should be. We got those on there, so let's go ahead and get all our little nuts in there. These bolts, they only get torqued down to 6.5. Not very much. And then we'll do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so we need to get this fuel rail on here first. So I think we're gonna need to get these little guys through there first. This over there. Let's get our injectors in here. We got these little O-rings here, and they go up underneath here. All right. Now those are just gonna sit right in there. Just like that. There's a 12mm bolt over here, and then these two 12s here. And now we got our injectors. So our injectors, we need to put a little bit of either oil or some grease. I got this super lube that I'm gonna throw on there. So just put it around these O-rings there and over here. Get it all nice and lubed up. And now it should just go in, and then it should make a pop when it gets in there. Right there. You can kind of feel it pop in. Do the same thing with the other one. These little things, they hold the injectors in. And they also make it so the injector can only sit one way. Then they just take these tiny little screws here with a, I think it's a Torx head. It's a T25. Get that tight and get this one tight. And then the other side is the exact same. Okay, now let's get this wiring harness on there. This thing's kind of a pain. So there's just these two spots right here. All right, those are on there. This side right here, let's see what we got. This is gonna go up over the intake. That is going to ground right there. So we can put a ground in and plug that injector in and plug that injector in. This will go to the AVCS and this will go to the cam sensor. These ones are not used. These used to be the TGV. Tuck them up in there, and then these will go down to the spark plugs. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't go anywhere. And this will go to the wiring harness. Then we got this side. We got our ground up here. Injector. Injector, this is TGV, that doesn't go anywhere. This is TGV, that doesn't go anywhere. That'll go to the AVCS, this will go to the cam sensor, and these down to the spark plugs. And that'll go to the wiring harness. Just got these 3 bolts, 1, 2, and then 1 down here. This will go to the knock sensor, this goes to the map sensor right here. That plugged in, this throttle body. And if you look here, I have that line capped off and this line capped off, and that is what this is for. This used to go there, so since I don't have any coolant lines running here, go ahead and just cap that off and cap that off. Okay, I think we are ready to get our intake manifold on here. All right, so I've got these phenolic spacers, 8mm, I believe, so that we have a little more room since we have a bigger turbo going on here. So you get your gasket, then your spacer, and then you get another gasket, both sides. So now let's try to get this manifold on here. this is the side that sucks because there's a coolant hose that wants to run right through here. Alright, got that on there. Then we got 4 bolts that go through on each side. So we'll just get these all finger tight. All right, these get torqued down to 18 I believe, but I'm gonna go a little more, about 22. So this is what it looks like right now. I connected my crank angle sensor, my coolant temperature sensor. This isn't going to get used. This would be for the stock oil pressure sensor. And this isn't going to get used because this was for the evap. So those will get tucked away. This is going to go to the power steering. So I connected my AVCS line, my cam sensor, and then I ran my lines for my air oil separator. So what I want to do now is I want to get my oil drain on here, and then we can throw our up pipe on and get our turbo mounted. All right, we got our turbo excess downpipe and our Grimspeed exhaust gasket. We also have our hardware from Grimspeed for the uppipe. All right, so. Okay, so I decided that this second bracket over here that mounts to the transmission and up here is not gonna work with this turbo. Maybe it does, but I just cannot get it to fit right. I'm just gonna take this little stud out of here. All right, let's see where this turbo is gonna fit. Looks like she's gonna fit right there. I think I'm gonna go with that. Let me get this thing bolted on here and see what I can figure out. All right, guys, here's where we're at. So we got intake manifold completely on. We got the turbo on there. We got the oil return lines on there. There's coolant lines on there. We got our up pipe. Those bolts are on there. We got our AOS lines ran. We got quite a bit of stuff done today. I think I'm gonna put the overflow tank on there. We can get our AC bracket on there, our power steering pump, and our alternator. That's probably gonna be it for today. So we're gonna get the AC bracket on there, the alternator on there, the power steering pump on there, the coolant overflow, and then tomorrow all we're gonna have to do is pretty much put the flywheel and clutch on, and we can put it in the car. So I'm gonna do that stuff real quick, clean up, and then we'll get back at this tomorrow. All right, guys, I think this is a good stopping point. I got it pretty much all together. This is our mechanical oil pressure gauge. That oil pressure gauge is only gonna be hooked up while we start the motor, just to make sure that we have oil pressure and that it's good. And then I will swap out the sensor, swap it out with the oil pressure sensor for my oil pressure gauge. So today we got a lot done. We got all the timing done, all the intake manifold, all that stuff on there. I got the turbo mounted on here. I got everything ran for our air oil separator. It's just kind of mocked up right now. This will attach to the pitch stop in the back of the engine bay. But yeah, we pretty much got it all together. Pretty excited. Tomorrow I think I'll come out and throw the clutch and the flywheel all that stuff on there. Make sure the engine bay is ready for the motor, and chances are I should be able to get this motor in there tomorrow. And I can get my intercooler piping, everything ran. I do have to get this intake. I need to get this bung right here welded on somewhere. I need to get this bung right here welded onto my intake pipe for the AOS. But yeah, it's been a long day. I've been out here for probably about 10-12 hours, so I think that I am done. We'll see what we can get done tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Go ahead and leave a comment and hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys later.